John is an Australian entrepreneur who, together with her inventor husband Alex, has launched an innovative new product for the plumbing industry. Their story fits in beautifully with the fifth lesson of the Mastery Club, first force, second force, third force, as you're about to see. Eve, welcome to the Mastery Club Interview Resource Bank.
Hi, thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
It's our pleasure. A few years ago, you were working in training organisations as an educator and particularly teaching financial education to teens. And your husband was working in his own business as a plumber. Would you share the story of the unexpected and shocking events that led to your new business?
Yeah, not a problem. Yes, thank you. I was working with a large banking organisation. I got to travel all around Australia dealing with teens and doing some really fun and educational financial training for them. And I'd stayed over in Sydney one night and we just did a little bit of, catch up, a bit of networking the next day. And I came home on a Saturday night and my husband had been away in Echuca up in the Murray with a couple of friends. They were at the speedboat races up there, and there was a note on my front door that said, call me when you get home, love, Dad. Now, my dad lives probably 5 minutes walk from my house, and he was looking after our dogs at the time. And I just thought, that's a bit odd that he's left this message. Maybe there's something wrong with the dogs. But I checked on them, they were fine, so I jumped in the shower, dumped on my stuff, and I could hear him calling for me. And I came out of the shower and he sort of said, I need to tell you something, and automatically you think, gosh, what's happened to the grandparents, or, he's got elderly grandparents. And he said, Alex my husband has had a fall at Echuca. He's in the hospital and he's going to be airlifted back to Melbourne tomorrow. Sorry, this is a bit hard. They said, we're not sure if they don't know what he's done. They're not sure if he's going to be a quadriplegic or a paraplegic. So that was sort of the start of a shock journey for us. He was airlifted back to Melbourne the next day to the Royal Melbourne Hospital. Very well cared for there. He went through about 3 or 4 surgeries, rehabilitation every day. And just spent a lot of time. He was active. He was 25 at the time. An active guy, used to play, a little bit of local footy and sports and out with his mates and all that sort of stuff, as well as working in the trade, which is really sort of quite a labour intensive job. And it was really hard for him, really, particularly at the start, not knowing what was going to happen. They were smart enough. A lot of the tradesmen these days have to do first aid courses for their work, and they were smart enough to say, let's not move him. Let's get an ambulance to come and get him because we don't know what's happened. And he avoided paraplegia by 0.2 mil. He had a bone fragment that was in the fluid in his spinal cord. And if they had have just thrown him in the back of the truck and driven him to the hospital, he would have severed his spinal cord. So we sort of, that was a blessing really for us there. But it did take, a good 5 months for him to be able to walk again, get full function. And in that time, he had a lot of friends and family visiting him and a lot of his people from work. But I think really being in one place for a long time and seeing as lovely and beautiful as the nurses and doctors are, and they really cared for him, being really strapped to a bed, and I think there's only so much daytime television that you can watch before you go a little bit crazy. He started to really get interested in how his spine works and what had actually happened to his spine. And every day the physiotherapist would come in with those bendable, the demonstration spines that you might see at the chiropractors or you might see in, your biology classes and those sorts of things. And would explain, this is what you've done and this is how the spine works and da-da-da. And he sort of thought, you know what, if I could come up with a way to make the spine make a silicone nozzle, which is, when you're doing your caulking around the bathroom or putting the silicone around the toilet or the tiles, a lot of the guys, when they're using those, they're really hard and you can pick them up for free from the trade shops. And he sort of thought, if I could make a silicone nozzle that sort of was based on the spine, it had a bit of flexibility and a bit of movement, and you could extend it or shorten it. I could take the hassle out of silicone application for plumbers and tradespeople who are basically on their hands and knees trying to get this silicone into really tight spots. So that was sort of 7 years ago, and we are really lucky and really happy now to announce that we've signed an international distribution contract, which is exciting. Yeah, and we're also in discussions with a national distributor here in Australia, where we're currently in some trade and construction company sort of suppliers, and also some DIY stores. So I just think our stories, it really goes to show that if you believe in yourself and you believe in, the gifts that you've been given, you can really take it far.
Congratulations on the award.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we actually took out an Australian Innovation Award, which was really exciting. We were the top-rated building product for 2013, and we actually came fourth overall in the Anthill Smart 100 Australian Innovation Awards. So there was apparently over 700 innovations that were submitted. So from apps to businesses and services, and our little product that that's made here in Victoria in Eltham and run from our business, which is based in our home, has come in fourth, which is pretty good because we're up against some really tough competition, and we came eighth in the People's Choice, which is great. To really have the support of people, really supporting a small business in comparison to some of the really large and corporate and really well-known businesses that we're up against was really exciting. So that's really been a highlight for us. Yeah, it's great.
That's a great achievement. Your story is a real tragedy to triumph kind of story, isn't it? And the first force, second force, third force that I was referring to is a principle that I teach in the Mastery Club that, the first force is our goal or our intention that we set, and the second force is the challenges and obstacles and difficulties that our life presents to us in the process of, going about doing our thing. And the third force is our response, how we respond to the challenges and whether we give up or whether we pick ourselves up and keep going. So your story is a wonderful example of people who are presented with some pretty confronting second force dynamics and just kind of kept going and really did take the lemon and turn it into lemonade. That's quite a phenomenal thing to think of. Such an accident that potentially had your husband in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, and then in that 5-month period, which would have felt like it was the rest of his life, it would have felt like just such a long time for all of you, and the unknown of would he recover, just lying in bed, and just, isn't that amazing and wonderful how ideas just come to us anyway all the time. I mean, if we would just listen and act on them, we can produce amazing results. So there you are, he's watching this spine, comes up with the idea, produces the nozzle, tests it out, and then you get the reward for all this hard work and patience and not giving up, basically, which is wonderful. Have you got one handy that you can wave in front of the camera?
I do. I've got my little display. Oh, hang on. Have I got my little? Where's my board? Oh, here we go. Oops, sorry, knocking everything over. So you can sort of see. I'll just pop this down. So they're sort of like little black freaky little spines, and they just move at all angles. Sorry, I'm doing this on the phone, guys. We've had some technical difficulties. I really need a teenager over here to help us out, but we've had to go with it. So they've got the little knobs like the spine, and you can sort of see there they come in packs of 2, so they can bend and they move at all of the angles there, but. So they move in, these move in 360. Obviously, your spines don't. Otherwise, we could be in some serious trouble. So they just move around a lot. I'll just grab this one off. This is my display, and it's been made very well because I often drop it. So I'll just see if I can put that down there. So, they just move around. One of the big challenges that we actually had with the nozzles is the fact that when you buy silicone and sealants in the shops, you actually get a normal silicone nozzle for free. So one of our big challenges was going up against a product that is given to people when they buy the silicone and the sealant. So I think one of the big learnings for me was people will often give you advice and information and some input, but being really strong in yourself and going back to your goal, or for me, the goal really of my why, why it was so important for me. And honestly, yes, the money is great. It means that I can be, I can stay at home with my kids, my two little kids, and look after them full time. But really, for me, it's about showing Alex and also other people out there that, there's things can really happen if you believe in yourself and you're passionate and you believe in your own skills and the skills that you've got as well. I think that's really important. I think sometimes we underestimate our own values and what we're able to achieve. And we were lucky that we did have more support than we had negativity. So that was really important. And we made sure that we surrounded ourselves with supportive people that were able to help us and could see what our goal was and what our vision was and help us overcome our challenges and really get to where we want to be. So I think that's, for me, that one of the really important key things is, setting yourself goals and, really realizing that it is hard work, but it's great fun. It's been a real learning experience, and some of the skills that I've developed along the way have been really fantastic, and it's helped me in other areas of my life as well to become more confident in myself and what I do and what I've got to offer, my friends and family and the world, really, yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm really glad you made that point because, if we think about how many people have great ideas and then just don't act on them. And the difference, I remember watching a TV program on the nature of genius once, years and years ago, and there was this one line that really stuck out in me, and that was that everyone has the potential to be a genius, and the genius is the person who actually takes action on their ideas. And so, to have that belief in yourself and your ideas, to value them exactly as you said, and take the action and put in the hard work, as you said, and stick in with it. And, whether you had the same amount of positive and negative input or different or whatever isn't relevant as much, isn't as important as what do you tune into, what do you pay attention to. So even if you had 90% negative and 10% positive, if you just stay focused on that, and that your value, your worth, your belief, and keep going, and look what's possible. I want to pick up on something else you mentioned there, and I can't remember exactly what you said now, but I know it reminded me of a comment you made when I first heard you speak at the women's Women on the Go Expo, and that was about your belief in lifelong learning.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Share a little about that. Please.
I mean, my background's in education, but I've always been a student. Not in a conventional sense. I do have a university degree, but it's nothing related with what I do now. But I love learning. I've done, I do millinery as a hobby, which is all the hats for cup days, and I've gone and done courses there. I've done courses on computer programs. I've done courses on Photoshop elements. Not very good at it, but it allowed me to realize what my strengths actually were. So I think with lifelong learning, not only do you pick up skills, but you also figure out what you don't really enjoy. So for me, I like to work on what my strengths are in regards to what my skills are. I think that's really important. So I don't focus on my weaknesses as much. I think that I'm able to develop my strengths more. So I do a lot of courses, even in the local community as well. And I have a lot of CDs and books on tape that I listen to. I quite often go down to the library as well and order books through the library. And I really think that reading's important. I have actually ordered a library book about speed reading because I need to figure out how to read a lot quicker. But learning can, for me, really takes in all forms. We have a business coach that we work with. So again, that's continuing on my education. I do a lot of reading of popular blogs of marketers and people that I admire. So again, that's another form of education. So I think in the conventional sense of continually going to university or going to TAFE, that's important, and depending on what your goals are. But I think for me, lifelong learning is looking at different ways, and I learn a lot from people as well. Listening to people and their experiences, I think, is a really, really good way to learn, particularly if you're working with a mentor or a coach. They've learnt the hard way and often the expensive way. So I've been able to pick up some ways that I haven't made the same mistake that they've had, and it's cost them an absolute fortune, and I've managed to learn from their experience. And I think that's important too, looking at other people's experiences and how you can apply that to yourself.
Wonderful. While we're in the learning space, can we step to your past? And because a lot of the people who are watching this will be teenagers, have you got any tips on financial education for teens before we finish off the interview?
Yeah. I really think it's important and it goes back to goal setting, looking at what your goals are and what you want to achieve, making small changes in your life. Say, for example, if you've been buying lunch every day at the shops, maybe not doing that straight away is too much of a, but maybe cutting down, so making small changes, I think, is probably one of the key things to teenagers. I think that applies to everybody with whatever you want to do. Setting yourself a goal as well, and making sure that you've got targets that you want to meet. So if you're looking to say maybe go on a trip at the end of the school year, working out, okay, what's my budget? How much are my flights going to cost? How much is this going to cost? What have I got to what do I need for spending money? And often research as well. If you're looking to buy something or, buy a product or service, just do a little bit of research and think about, will it come on sale? Do I need the latest technology to be able to do that? Do I really need to be doing what everybody else is doing as well? Often a lot of the financial institutions, if you go in and speak to them, they will have like student rates for different things and student accounts where they don't charge you any fees. Once you hit 18, it's a little tricky, but even making sure that where you're keeping your money is giving you the best return as well. So you don't have to change banks, but just letting them know that you are a student and what services do they offer for you, or a credit union as well. Just being accountable, I think, taking responsibility for your money, taking responsibility for what you want to spend your money on, and taking responsibility for your future, I think, is and putting those skills in action when you're younger can really help you as you get older as well, because it only gets better. And I saw something, I work with a lot of young apprentices in different trades, and somebody sent me a photo the other day and it said something about, when you're 10 you just want $1, and when you're 15 you want $1,000, when you're 18 you want $1 million, and then when you're 20 you just want $10 because you're spending all of your money on bits and pieces. So yeah, just making sure that you set yourself some goals, pop some budgets into place, and don't try and, make changes drastically too quickly. Just small little changes that you won't notice as quickly can make a big difference too.
Great. Thank you. So thank you very much, Eve, for sharing with us your personal story and yours and Alex's personal story. And please pass on our congratulations to him for his courage and his resourcefulness and inventiveness and all the rest of it that's resulted in this wonderful reward that you obviously so richly deserve. And before you go, just give us a bit of a clue. What's next for you and Alex? What are your visions now? What's your next goals?
Well, we've had a lot of people that have seen, that have had ideas and that have, similar like ourselves, young. Well, I like to think I'm young, under 35 with small children. And, so a lot of people have been coming to us with their ideas for products or services, and we've been able to really help them, at least give them some guidance as well. And I think for me, being able to give people some information that might, you never know, that could be the newest the biggest thing that that happens, and you know, their product could, you know, potentially save people time or hassle, or don't know, could possibly save lives. So yeah, just helping you know, people that have come up with innovations or ideas, just giving them some guidance. I've just been asked to contribute a chapter for a book. I write for a women's fitness magazine, and yeah, just doing some stuff with the family as well, and helping our children, you know, work out what their little goals are, and yeah, just doing some fun stuff. I really need to take some time to learn about craft, though. My crafting skills, according to the 4-year-olds, are not particularly good, so that's my new lifelong learning skill. My challenge for term 4 is to do some craft activity.
Well, enjoy your crafts, and perhaps
Thank
we
you.
will talk again down the track, and
Fantastic.
yeah, check in and see what's happening. Thank you so much for your time, Eve, and all the very
My pleasure.
best.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.